You know, I was very hopeful to move on with this topic. I really wanted to just cast it aside. What's done is done, and talk about the stuff that's actually been going on right now with our movies. What's going on with entertainment in general. There was a photo, an image of the cast of Fast and Furious 9, Vin Diesel, John Cena. They was posing. Looked like a good photo. Don't have an idea what the movie is going to be about, and how it's going to connect with all the other Fast and Furious, including Hobbs and Shaw. Although I don't think that's going to be possible, being the relationship between The Rock, Tyrese, and of course Vin Diesel. But it was an interesting photo nonetheless. I wanted to talk about that a little bit. I wanted to talk about the bombing of Will Smith's latest film, although I don't think Will Smith has anything to be worried about because he has had a success with Aladdin. Disney's Maleficent, and how this could actually force Disney to slow down, because let's be honest, Maleficent should not have been made, and it hasn't really have done anything to convince people to go back into theaters, even though they did a heavy push to promote Angelina Jolie, and rightfully so. Let's be realistic. Angelina Jolie owns that role. She owns that role. She have created that role. If you get anything good out of that film, is Angelina Jolie's performance, and Ian Fanny's performance. Both of those two seem to work very well with each other, despite the fact that the movie may not be as good as originally advertised. Same thing with the first one. I actually thought the first one, in my own personal opinion, was actually pretty decent. What hurt that film wasn't really Angelina Jolie's performance, or the fact that they did a 180 with the character. I thought it was a good reimagining. If you're going to reimagine it, if you're going to reinvent the wheel, you might as well go all the way. I think they did, with the exception of one thing, and I thought the fairies was absolutely horrible. If I got anything out of it, if it was a big turnoff, the fairies was horrible. They was cringe-worthy to watch. But I thought there was some good elements in the film that was good. But do I think they needed a sequel? No. And obviously a lot of people who didn't even like the film to begin with, didn't flock to see the film. And I was going to talk about that earlier, about the fact that Disney may want to slow down these live-action films, because they're not exactly getting the praise as one hoped. They're making the money. There's no question about it. To the point where now they're coming out with almost way too many films that excuse me, way too many films, and many people actually wish they wouldn't. It would be one, maybe two a year. Now they're almost coming out with 5. Disney had almost, 4 films that came out this year? There's Dumbo, Lion King, Aladdin, and you have Maleficent. That's 4 films of the live action of their live action series that came out in 1 year. More than probably any year that they actually have made movies under their name brand. But yet it's Maleficent that actually doesn't seem to perform as well as one may hope for, or one may Disney hope for. I don't know what the budget is, but it is telling. But I can't talk about all that right now. I have to put this aside for a moment. I have to put this on the curve and just basically say, hold on, you get your turn, because I got to deal with Francis Ford Coppola's nonsense of actually speaking about how these films are despicable, and following the Martin Scorsese's nonsense of basically bashing a genre which, one, he have not seen, doesn't bother to see, and 2, doesn't fit what he felt is criteria of art. If it doesn't uplift people, or doesn't actually have a positive message, or have something that you can leave the theater with, or doesn't have an engaging thought, is not cinema, is not art, and shouldn't be taken as seriously. She doesn't understand why people go to the movie theaters and love these things. This man who hasn't made a hit film And how many years now? Whose last film I remember seeing was one of the worst films he ever made, Jack. I still don't know what the hell I was watching. It's going to come and tell people that Marvel films aren't engaging, Marvel films doesn't have a story to tell, Marvel films are despicable, and he doesn't understand why people get a kick out of them, why people like to see them, why people will go to the theaters to see these movies. I gotta go back to this again. I gotta hear this nonsense again. Folks, I mentioned this before, that there are a group of people in Hollywood. He's not the only one. He's not Martin Scorsese. He's not the only one who feels that their words is law. That seem to look down on people who actually enjoy films that's not in their criteria. And to me, it makes me sick. It really does. It made me sick because, number one, these people have forgotten what entertainment really is. What art really is. And how people taste in film different from one another. Not everyone have the same taste in film. What also makes me sad and very sickening about this is that these directors, Scorsese, Coppola, have actually forgotten that they was once outsiders to a very elitist system that is Hollywood entertainment. And how they have to think outside the box. And how they have to use their imagination and use their creativities and have to crawl and pull and actually slide their way into the business that actually rejected them and looked at them as weirdos who don't know anything about filmmaking. These directors in the 70s were in a time where filming, movie theaters, and movies in general were on their last leg. Television has hurt them tremendously. Nothing was coming out that people wanted to see in theaters. There was nothing enough to actually put them in theaters. It was a very dark time in the 70s. And this theater came in with Jaws and Close Encounter and really started what is now we know as the blockbuster year, the summer blockbusters. We have Francis Ford Coppola, who made one of the greatest masterpieces that we ever seen in theaters, so much so that it's recited and rehearsed by people who've seen this film over and over again. It would stand the test of time and beyond. They didn't do this because of they was an artist. They did it because they thought outside the box. All you had to do is search behind the scenes of all the creativity they had to do. They didn't have a big budget. And if they did, they was under a tightrope which they had to play around. They had to maneuver around because Hollywood had a different vision for what their work was. Could you imagine if somebody came to them right now and said, hey, your vision is not artistic enough. You need to change that. In the Godfather film, which, by the way, wasn't supposed to take place in that period of time, was supposed to take place in modern day New York. Could you imagine how different The Godfather would have been if, Francis Ford Coppola actually listened to those elitist groups back then? Or Martin Scorsese, if he would listen to those groups, or Steven Spielberg, who probably would never have seen his film even rise to the occasion. Same thing with Lucas. Lucas wasn't given the blessing of 20th Century Fox back then. They actually thought that film was going to fail. They didn't put it out in too many theaters. It was word of mouth, the film, the quality of acting that got people going in. It was new, it was fresh, it was original, it was creative. It was fun theater. Now here we are, decades later. These men are older. These men has been rightfully seasoned well established in Hollywood, and they're doing exactly the same thing that Hollywood have done to them years ago. How ironic that they're now looking at these films, staring at them, and said, "Oh, this film is garbage." I mean, I haven't seen them personally, but I can tell. What engaging stories do these people have? What importance do they have? A lot. And you probably would know that if you would have just basically, I don't know, shut up, buy a ticket, watch these films, instead of just coming out your mouth and making one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my life, and taking off pretty much a large chunk of the moviegoers, half of them probably as fans of yours. That's another thing I don't understand. I don't get. Don't you understand that some of these people who love Marvel Comics actually love your work? And by you saying what you're saying, you're basically telling your own audience, as well as the audience abroad, that goes to these theaters and go and watch these movies, that they're stupid for watching them. That they're not getting anything out of these films. Yet you yourself, who is saying this, have not seen one film. I doubt you've seen Captain America. I doubt you've seen Civil War and the message that they had. I don't think you saw Black Panther, because you will find this how much engaging as a story that was, and what messages that they actually was telling the audience. You probably wouldn't know that the person who directed some of these films, including Ryan Coogler, is a well-acclaimed director who's been nominated for countless awards. I don't get people sometimes. I really don't. And what's sad, again, I mentioned this before, these people have a lot of pull in the Academy Awards or the awards in general. Going behind the scenes saying, you can't nominate this film for Best Picture. This film is a comic book film. What did they have to do? What did they engage? And then the Academy wonders why they get in trouble when people find out that half the people who were voting for these films haven't seen all the films that was nominated, giving automatic a disadvantage to the film that probably should deserve that trophy. The same people who, again, I have to remind you, was the very reason why animated films had such a hard time getting Best Picture, even though they deserve it. Again, I go back to that Beauty and the Beast and how they were livid an animated film was not for Best Picture, even though it specifically says Best Picture. There is no subtitles in there. There is no, specifics in there. It just says Best Picture. I gotta sit here and hear this again. Hear these men who is threatened by a genre, by industry, bash the industry. You wonder why they're bashing it? Again, I gotta repeat this, because number one, the fact that you had two films, The Irishman, which, by the way, I feel personally should be in theaters. It is not a Netflix exclusive film. And for a film that costs $159 million with a cast like that, it should be seen nationwide for everyone to see. Not knocking Scorsese's directing style. In fact, I actually got to praise him, because out of all the time, he's still relevant and still making films his way. Still, basically making films that people want to see. When they see a Martin Scorsese film, they guarantee it about 89 to 90% of the time it's going to be something worth watching. Wolf of Wall Street, Casino, Goodfellas. Now you have Irishman, which, by the way, is his most highest rated praise in his career. I got nothing but high praise for the man. Still, at his age, still making quality films that people want to see. People want to see it. People want to watch it. But again, there is a bitterness going on, because behind the scenes, it was not an easy feat for him to get that film off the ground. Studios wouldn't want to invest in these films. I can understand why he's mad. You had this film you wanted to do for years, and you have producers and studios saying, no, we're not going to finance it, which led down the line to Netflix. That bothers him. You can't tell me it does not. Francis Ford Coppola, I think it's obvious why Francis Ford Coppola is upset. When the last time he made a film? When the last time he made a memorable film? I seen Virgin Suicide. I mean, it's alright. There ain't nothing to sneeze home about. Jax, I just tell you right now, was terrible. But overall, what film has he made that actually people say, yo, this is engaging, this is great, I can't wait to see it again. He hasn't had that kind of film since The Godfather, and probably Apocalypse Now. But honestly, what's the last film he has definitely made that people will actually say, this is a film that I want to continue to watch over and over and over again? I don't get people when they keep doing this. What hurts this is that he didn't watch any of these films. Him and Scorsese. You didn't watch any of these movies, so you don't have no idea how far that the industry have come. How far Marvel films and even DC have come from the days where they were not even taken seriously by the studios. Times have changed for these movies. Now they're all gems and all great films. There has been some hiccups. There's no question from both sides. But the ones that work. Look at the road to the Avengers. Look at the stories they did in between. I think you'd be surprised. The Joker film that's coming out has your image written all over it. People take influence out of what you guys have done. Instead of understanding that and even appreciate the homage that these directors who look up to you, you want to bash these films and bash their work to the point where you don't even think they should be in theaters? How dare you? How dare you? Who do you guys think you are? I don't care if you guys are all legendary directors. No, that doesn't stop you from being criticized. That doesn't stop you from feeling the heat from even the audience who liked your work. And there's a lot of people. Because what you guys are saying and what you guys are bitching about is disgusting. Especially when you didn't even see the freaking films. Now you want to sit there and say that these films are not being marketed the same way as other films. They're being, pretty much factory assembly line produced. You get no argument from me on that. In fact, you're 100% right. They are being assembly line produced. The way they're coming out and everything else. You're 100% right that the studios are not looking at these as art anymore. As more as, we need to make money. These films cost us $100 million. We need to make double the size, that much money. Otherwise, we won't stay afloat. I get no argument of that. Studios don't look at film the same way as the audience does. That's always been a gripe between the audience who watch these films, who appreciate these films, and how the studios view these films. I am not going to argue with that. Disney is no different. In fact, Disney is notorious for assembly line films. Look at their setup here. You get no argument from me on that. But what you fail to realize and fail to understand is, again, unlike the past, where comic book films was not even taken seriously, not by the producers, not by even the directors, or the actors who play in it. If you go back once upon a time ago, most actors wouldn't even take these roles because it's beneath them. Let's be realistic. You would never probably see a Sally Field be Aunt May in a Spider-Man film. It was beneath them. Things have changed. Not only they're embracing these roles, but they're making up their own. They're bringing their own spin to it, and it's giving us the quality that these films deserve. The people who are directing it, the people who are who is writing the stories and dialogue, they're putting more care into these films. Even those who are bad films, you can see where they're coming from, and you can at least appreciate that they at least tried to give us a story that was different. Not everything at Marvel, in my opinion, are glitter and glamour, but the film that works. The message that's there, I actually like and appreciate it, especially for young audiences. Let's be realistic. Marvel targets younger audience more than you think. And these films don't talk down to their younger audiences. They bring up deep subject matters. My best Captain America film was Civil War. I absolutely loved how they did that film. I loved it more than they did the comics. And yes, it had a message. Yes, people walked out there having the idea of what was going on, thinking about the conflict between Tony Stark and Steve Rogers. The conflict between Steve Rogers and S.H.I.E.L.D. The conflict between Iron Man and what he has to do to save his own inventions from the corrupts of the very people who want to take it away, including his own company. The Guardians of the Galaxy and the messages between the first one and the second one, what they were trying to say. Everyone there's an engaging story in every last one I just mentioned. So to sit there and say it's not engaging, it doesn't have a story, and that you don't understand why people see what they see, tells you how arrogant, how stupid, and how out of touch you really are with the audience. It also says that you have not seen not one Marvel or DC for that matter film, and that you're judging it based on just what's your perception of what filmmaking really is. And to me, that's disgusting. It's despicable. And sadly, he's not the only one. Sadly, there are a lot of others out there that are just being quiet about it. And sadly, these are the same people, by the way, again, who are the one determining what these awards are. Who gets these awards? The Academy is notorious for it. They're notorious for it. Why do you think, I keep repeating this, why do you think they wanted to make a category for popular film? They did not want Black Panther to be in the Best Picture category. They were trying every which way they can. They didn't need to put a new category. Think about it. In fact, they was trying to cut down on the timeline, on the time being run. They wanted to cut down that 3.5, 4 hour run that they was doing for these awards. You're going to cut down by adding 2 more awards? What sense does that make? Oh, well, we cut down a couple awards there. And? You're still adding 2 more. So it's no different than what it was. That's because they want, again, they wanted to keep those films out of the award picture. If you have such a hard time of not wanting these films to be recognized for being best pictures, do me a favor. Do what the Golden Globes do. Again. Make best picture for one category, best picture for another category. That is specific, is right to the point. We don't have to worry about it anymore. But unless you're going to do that, a best picture should be what it is. Best picture. I'm going to save everything I wanted to say for part 2. I'm not going to have this be an hour long. It's already 23 minutes long. I was ranting. But I am very, very upset, very, very disappointed at the people who are considered to be directing legends. And listen, they earned that title. I'm not going to sit here and besmirch what they have worked for. My favorite film will always be Godfather. Martin Scorsese have earned my respect throughout the years. And what you guys know or not, he often thinks outside the box himself. More than people ever can give him credit for. Turn that off for a second. So don't get it twisted. I'm not trying to knock their legacy, but I gotta call it what it is. There's a lot of jealousy. There's a lot of bitterness. They're not having their movies being pushed to the forefront. Their movies not being picked up by producers as they used to. They're being resorted to Netflix and other places to keep themselves relevant. and they see these movies, which, by the way, don't even make up a large percent of theaters. Don't even make up a double-digit percent. Making millions upon millions. Fans love them, and they just can't stand it. They can't stand it. It bothers them. Here I got this masterpiece, The Irishman, and it's not going to be played in major theaters. $159 million project not being put in theaters. It's being put on Netflix. I know some of you guys said that it doesn't make a difference. And you're probably right in some kind of category. If people, as long as you see it, as long as it's great, then it doesn't matter. Here's the problem, though. Not everybody has Netflix, one. And number two, when you have a budget that big and it's going to be given to such a small audience, that speaks a lot of volume. That hurts a lot of these directors' ego. Alright? This is not just a film that was made 2 years ago. This was years that he wanted to get this film off the ground. He was very fortunate to get Joe Pesci. Joe Pesci, for what I understand, turned this film down 40 times during the years. Finally agreed to do it. Out of respect for his friend, Robert De Niro. I'm actually looking forward to seeing him. I haven't seen him in a movie in such a long time. I thought he retired from the film industry. I really did. So seeing him back in theaters, that alone is worth my price of admission. You have a lot of people in Hollywood that's bitter. This streaming thing is really is burning a lot of people up. I'm a director with a great film. Why is this being put on stream? Now, of course, Martin Scorsese is going to play the game. Of course he is, because number one, he knows he needs to have this film being shown. No matter how big or small, he needs to have this shown. He wants that Academy Award. Don't know how his chances is, because again, the Academy themselves do not like to nominate films that are video on demand in the same category of films that have been out in AAA theaters. They just don't. I've yet to see a film being done. It will surprise me if it happens this year with The Irishman. Who knows? But then again, it will open up a whole new can of worms. Did you nominate this film because you actually believe in it, or is it because number one, Martin Scorsese had their name behind it? And if it wasn't Martin Scorsese's film, would have been nominated for Best Picture and won Best Picture. You can see it coming. There's a no-win scenario for that. You can see it coming. With that being said, I want to make this very clear. These guys are legends of the game, but they did not invent the wheel. I'm not saying that they should just stay in the shadows because their time has come. Hey, you come out with a good film, people will talk about it. Before you criticize this genre, before you criticize people watching this film, before you denounce this film as disrespectful, watch the damn film. Watch the movies. Watch what stories they're engaging in. And then, if you still don't like these films, fine. Not a problem. You don't like these films. It's not your taste. But don't just put down this film for what it is. It's unfair for those hardworking men and women and actors and actresses who work and bust their ass and risk their lives giving us the entertainment that we love. Do not disrespect the fans who go and watch these films, because you don't know if these fans are your fans, and you may need them to watch your movie and may not want to watch your movie because you insulted their intelligence. Just ask Star Wars how that worked out for them when they dismissed their fans. They're still trying to recover from that. They may never recover from that. Before you criticize a genre or something because you don't deem it's worthy and fit, watch the damn thing. Before you actually dismiss and have this arrogant feel to it, ask yourself one question. Remember where you were. Remember where you came from way back when in the 70s, and how Hollywood looked upon you, and how you felt, and how you had to claw and you had to nail and bite your way to the top. Because a bunch of leaders back then didn't see you fit to be in their circle. That's all I got to say about this whole thing, guys. I wanted to put this as part one. I will use the midweek edition to talk about everything else I wanted to talk about. I just want to get this off my chest. Because to me, it's starting to piss me off that you have actors and actresses and directors basically belittling a genre because they don't want to understand or because they themselves cannot fit with the changing times. That they're bitter that their movies are not being picked up by major studios, and instead of actually, I don't know, talking to the studios that do have it and trying to push it more, they want to just blast out on a genre who has nothing to do with their success and or failures over the past years. From Martin Scorsese, it's very clear. He can shout all the nonsense he wants. It's very clear that he's not happy with the arrangement that he has with Netflix. Netflix is the one that picked up his project. Netflix ain't bringing it out in major theaters because Netflix want to have their cake and eat it too. They want to have it, just in theater, just enough so to say, okay, we're in theaters now. We're gonna be nominated for an award. Now let's pull it out and put it on stream because they want their stream to be the major platform. They don't want to share with the theater industry. You got the theaters saying, absolutely not. I'm not putting this movie in theaters, especially when we know we're not gonna make any money out of it. So you have that situation, and instead of addressing it between the theaters and the company that is actually have produced the film, he's gonna knock out everybody else. Marvel, who's making more money? Marvel's the problem. They're making garbage, and they're basically filling out, and they need to stop. We need to stop having Marvel being hogging up the entire spotlight, even though it doesn't even make up, a large majority of their films being released in theaters. I didn't see it. I think it's garbage. I think it's terrible. We need to stop doing this. Same thing with Francis Ford Coppola. Even though Francis hasn't made any memorable film in the past almost 2 decades, and I'm supposed to take him seriously. Oh, it needs to be engaged. People need to go out uplifting. Please explain to me what Jax was about. Somebody, anyone in the comment section, Mad Expression, YouTube, please tell me what the hell Jax was about, because I'm still can't get over that film. I still didn't want to accept that it was a Francis Ford Coppola film. It was so bad. These people need to grow up. They need to stop acting like that film is the only thing that's considered art. They need to recognize that art is the eyes of the beholder. That not everybody has the same taste in film, and not everybody came to movies to be educated and talked up to or talked down to. Everybody in general, a good masses of moviegoers go for escapism. Go to have their sense of belief being challenged by great fantasy or great action or great comedy. They go to put every stress of their imagination aside just to have an hour and 15 minutes of fun and entertainment. It could be a comedy. It could be an action film. It could be a horror film. It could be a slasher film. Many people love documentaries, or a snuff film, or a film that is indies. Any kind of entertainment for them that they can go in and just get away for a while. If they if they feel entertained and they feel happy, that's a good thing. Doesn't matter what film it is. It could be any of those genres and more. If they came out happy and it came out joy, that film did its job. And who am I or anyone else or anyone from any industry itself should knock it? That's what movies are for. That's what entertainment is for. Keyword, entertainment. Now with that being said, this is J77 saying, I hope everything is well with you guys. I will be back with a midweek edition as soon as possible. But until then, take care, be safe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.